Migad Hashem Yidurach, Boker Tov. We are doing the Bekiim Bahalacha number 28. Okay, so we're talking about we're talking about today bathing on the week of Tisha B'Av. The Talmud does not mention any rule prohibiting bathing during the days of preceding Tisha B'Av. On the contrary, the Talmud implies that it is permissible to bathe even on the day before the fast, up until the time one eats the final meal. The Maggid Mishneh ruled explicitly that it's permissible technically to bathe even on the day before Tisha B'Av. Nevertheless, all Jewish communities accepted upon themselves the custom of refraining from bathing on the days preceding Tisha B'Av, and we are obligated to observe this time-honored custom. This is the ruling of the Al-Batulim. Our sages taught in the Dalim that if there are things that are technically permitted, but the people in your community have the custom to treat them as forbidden, you may not permit them for yourselves. Various communities establish different customs regarding to bathing during these days. In Sefer HaRokeach, it is written that Rabbeinu Kilonimus of Rome instructed the people to refrain from bathing starting from Rosh Chodesh Av. This custom is cited as well in Sefer Pardes HaGadol, the Shibbolei HaLeket, Harav Avi HaEzri, the Ozarua, and the Mordechai at the end of Ta'anit. Because of this, the Marin wrote that the common custom forbids everyone from bathing his entire body in warm water on Friday before Shabbat Chazon. He may wash his hair, his face, his hands, and his feet only, and he must use cold water. There are those who are lenient, and if someone has the habit of washing his hair with hot water every Friday all year long, they permit him to do the same on this Friday as well. This is cited by Ramah. Rabbeinu Shalom Luria wrote that although he does not appreciate this custom, meaning of what that you shouldn't be washing on Erev Shabbat Chazon with warm water, it is an established custom and it is must be practiced. This is the common custom of all Ashkenazic Jews. In contrast, the great Sephardic rabbis, including the Rambam, ruled that there is no halachic restriction against bathing the entire body in hot water during the week of Tisha B'Av, but that the custom is not to visit the bathhouse during that week, and we are bound to observe this custom. This means that the custom is to abstain from bathing in hot water, but that bathing in cold water is permitted. Likewise, the Rambam wrote that the custom is not to visit the bathhouse during the week of Tisha B'Av, and it is forbidden to stray from our ancestors' practices. This is the ruling of Rabbeinu Aaron HaLevi, Rabbeinu Menachem HaMeiri, Rabbeinu Nisim, and the author of HaMeorot. The Ohel Moed page 68b ruled likewise. Following all these Rishonim, the Shulchan Aruch ruled some people have the custom to refrain from bathing from Rosh Chodesh Av until after the fast, and others refrain from bathing during the week of Tisha B'Av only. It appears that both customs are legitimate, and everyone should follow his community's traditions. Sephardic Jews have traditionally followed the rulings of the great Rishonim of Spain, that the custom is to refrain from bathing during the week of Tisha B'Av only. Rav Chaim Panaji testified that this was the custom of Smyrna, and the Shulchan Gavua testified that this was the custom in Salonikia. We may assume that this has always been the custom in the land of Israel as well, of Israel as well, since if the custom was otherwise, the rabbis of Yerushalayim would certainly have alerted us to it. In light of the above, although the Ben Ish Chai wrote that the custom is to refrain from bathing the entire body throughout the 9 days, Maran Lishon Tzion commented that the custom in the land of Israel remains as the Rishonim stated, and is forbidden during the week of Tisha B'Av only. Even if we would be unsure what the custom is in the land of Israel, we should still assume the more lenient position. Rabbeinu Asher, cited by the Alba Turim, ruled that whenever one is unsure whether or not one is bound by a stringent custom, one should assume the lenient position. This is likewise the ruling of the Ramah and Harav Chida in Shiorei Bracha, in the name of Maharash Amar. Okay, Kuf Chav Dalet 128. Even though from the halacha the isur is only from the day of Tisha B'Av, the custom is not to wash, for the Sfaradim at least, for the entire week of Tisha B'Av, the week that Tisha B'Av falls in, שבוע שחל בו. וקודם השבוע שחל בו תשעה באב, מותר לרחוץ כל גופו אפילו במים חמים. And before the שבוע שחל בו, you can wash your whole body even with hot water. ואפילו עם סבון, and even with soap. ואחינו האשכנזים, our brothers, are the Ashkenazim, נוהגים להחמיר בזה מיום ראש חודש אב. They have the custom to be מחמיר in this from ראש חודש אב. וכל עדה תחזיק במנהגה, and every congregation, okay, should, or community should hold with their custom. ולכן לפי מנהג הספרדים מותר להם להתרחץ כל גופם בחמין בערב שבת חזון. For the Sfaradim, they would be allowed to wash their whole body with hot water ערב שבת חזון, the Shabbat before the שבוע שחל בו. ולחפוף ראשם וגופם בסבון ללא הכל הגבלה, to wash their heads and bodies with soap without any restrictions. ואפילו למי שנתרשל איזה פעמים להתרחץ בערב שבת, and even if it occurs that this person from time to time doesn't wash on Erev Shabbat, okay, mishum tzina, because of the cold, or mishum tirda, or because he's just occupied, mutar lo litrachetz be'erev Shabbat chazon, he would still be allowed to wash Erev Shabbat chazon. And we don't say that since throughout the year he doesn't always wash during for Erev Shabbat, so this on Erev Shabbat, so this time also we don't say that. Okay, ורק בשבוע שחל בו תשעה באב יש להימנע מלהתרחץ בחמין, and only in the week of שבוע שחל בו is when we should be careful of not washing with hot water. Footnote 139. Since the Friday before Shabbat Chazon is never during the week of Tisha B'Av, there is no restriction against bathing one's entire body in hot water that day. This is especially so since it is a mitzvah to bathe in the honor of Shabbat, as the Talmud teaches. This mitzvah is recorded as the Halacha in Arba Turim and the Shulchan Aruch. Besides this, it makes a person feel good to clean himself of the dirt and the perspiration that is clinging to his body, and that adds to the pleasure of the Shabbat experience. Actually, some poskim ruled leniently even about bathing on Friday before Shabbat Chazot, even for Ashkenazic Jews. The sponsor of Mari Brona wrote that it is perfectly acceptable to bathe and shampoo one's hair in hot water in honor of Shabbat. Again, we're talking about for the Ashkenazim. He testified that this was the practice of Maharam Mintz and the Mahariv and the community of Oshreich. Maharam Mintz commented that although the Maharil washes hair using only cold water, that was his own personal stringency. The Dalkei Moshe cited the response of the Maharil and commented that many people are stringent about this. On the other hand, Rabbi Shalom wrote in his response that it is forbidden to keep such a stringency since it detracts from the honor of Shabbat. He commented, although I am not at peace with the custom to refrain from bathing on Friday before Shabbat Chazon, there is nothing I can do about it. The custom of refraining from bathing at this time has become widespread. We see from the Rambam that in his vicinity they refrained from bathing during the week of Tisha B'Av only, and that is far more correct since it does not detract from the mitzvah of having a pleasant Shabbat. Likewise, the Sefer Mishmeret Shalom, Kedenov, testified that his answer's custom was to bathe in hot water on Friday before Shabbat Chazon, since this is for the mitzvah of honoring Shabbat. Especially according to the Kabbalah, it is forbidden to treat Shabbat Chazon or any different than any other Shabbat. Nowadays, most people do bathe with hot water. For Sephardic Jews, this is a moot point since we have no custom to refrain from bathing until the week of Tisha B'Av. There is no basis to refrain from bathing in hot water on Friday before Shabbat Chazon. Nevertheless, there are poskim who ruled stringently in this manner. The Matei Yehuda Ayash wrote that the custom is to refrain from bathing only on Friday before Shabbat Chazon. And the Ben Ish Chai permitted one to immerse in a mikveh on this Friday, but only if one has the custom of doing so every Friday. Likewise, he permitted one to wash one's face, hands, and feet with hot water, but only if he is accustomed to doing so every Friday, implying that it is forbidden for anyone to bathe the entire body in hot water. Despite those poskim, Maran Rishon LeZion wrote that in practice one may bathe the entire body in hot water on Friday before Shabbat Chazon in honor of Shabbat. Finally, he cited the She'arim Hametzuyanim Bahalacha, who testified that nowadays the Ashkenazic Jews bathe in hot water on Friday before Shabbat Chazon, since they are not simply bathing for pleasure. In olden times, when people went to the bathhouses, it was an act of pleasure to soak in a hot tub. Nowadays, where we simply shower at home, there is a basis to permit it even using hot water. Halacha Kuf Chaf Tet. מותר לספרדים להתקלח בצונן, אף בשבוע שחל בו תשעה באב. It is permitted for the ספרדים to wash with cold water, even שבוע שחל בו תשעה באב. ולכן מותר להיכנס לבריכה, it's permitted to go into the pool, או לים, or the sea. וראה להאה להלכה ה', and he says, we'll see בעזרת השם furthermore in הלכה ה', or before in הלכה ה'. ואף למנהג אחינו האשכנזים, and even according to the Ashkenazim, פועלים השבים the workers that return from the work, they're completely sweating in the hot countries, in the hot places. They're allowed to wash in cold water. This washing is not for tanug. It's to refrain from tzal, from distress. And the same thing is also true for Bnei Yeshivot that are sweating because of the heat. Don't forget that the Bachlei Yeshiva, they go with a couple of layers, right? Many people, they go out with a t-shirt and they already start complaining. Bachlei Yeshiva, they have an undershirt, tzitzit, a shirt, a jacket, a hat. So for them to wash, especially when it's hot, it's going to be for limno tzal and not for ta'anug. Footnote 140. It is clear from the ruling of the Ramban, and other Rishonim that the restriction of bathing during the week of Tisha B'Av applies only to bathing in hot water, but there is no restriction against bathing in cold water. For this reason, they wrote that the custom is to refrain from going to a bathhouse where the water is heated. This response to Rumat Adeshin made the same inference. The Shulchan Gavoha wrote that in Salonika, the custom follows the opinion of the Rambam and the Ramban, that it is forbidden to bathe in hot water during the week of Tisha B'Av, but it is permissible to bathe in cold water. Therefore, the people to go out to swim in the sea even on the day before Tisha B'Av, and no rabbi has ever voiced his complaint. This is the opinion of Ruach Chaim Parachi. This is unlike the ruling of the Matei Yehuda Ayash, who permitted only to wash one's face, hands, and feet in cold water. Likewise, the Ben Ish Chai wrote that bathing is prohibited during this week, whether the water is hot or cold. Magan Rishon LeZion wrote that in practice we may follow the ruling of the Ramban and the Rambam and the Ramban. He demonstrated that the Sefer HaRokeach and the Shiborei HaLeket, citing Rav Keronimos, agreed that the restriction is against bathing in hot water only. The Or LeZion wrote that if it is difficult for someone to bathe in very cold water, he may add some hot water to make it bearable, meaning he's able to make it cold, but on the side of warm. Maran HaRishon LeZion, footnote 141. Maran HaRishon LeZion cited the response of Mahari of Brona that there is a basis to permit bathing in cold water. Baruch Adonai Leolam. Amen ve'amen.